Hi, I'm Tim. I am the Tinkering Turtle. Today I have got a bike that Himiway sent me for review. It is the A7 commuter e-bike. It has a maximum range of about 80 miles, but the stated range is actually 50 miles. And they do detail how they got up to 80 miles on their website under the product description. If I remember correctly, it was ridden by a 176-pound man on a flat surface at around 12 miles an hour, and that's how they got to the 80. It has some basically cool stuff. It's got a 15-volt battery, or 15 amp hour battery, I apologize, and a 500-watt motor that peaks out at around 900 watts. So it's not a super powerful bike. It's designed for commuting and getting the mileage with very good efficiency, and I'm really excited to see it. It's got some really cool features. It is a full suspension bike, and it has an adjustable sensor, so you can run a cadence sensor or a torque sensor. I don't know exactly how all that works yet, but we will find out probably not in this video, probably in the next video that I do when I actually start riding it. Today's going to be a very abbreviated assembly of the bike. If you haven't watched one of my videos on assembling bikes, I typically go very hard into the details, even as far as showing how to set up the pattern for tightening things. I'm probably not going to do that on this bike. I want to kind of keep it brief, just show you the basic setup you're going to have to do. If you do have questions about, how to tighten down the bolts for the steering or the handlebars or something like that, go see one of my previous videos. I detail it out very precisely. This is not going to be that type of video. I'm just going to do the assembly and probably the basic setup in this video. I also show in those other videos how I get the bikes out of the box without having to lift it out. And I am going to do that on this one, but again, I'm not going to go into great detail. Let's get to it. I've set out a basic set of tools: metric wrenches, metric Allen wrenches, wire snips, and a couple of crescent wrenches. If I need anything else as I go, I will grab it and let you know. I have to say, this is extremely impressive. As you can see, that this bike is completely encapsulated in foam. You can see the parts on this side, and also on this side you can see how everything's encapsulated and held in place. I would think that this is going to be an exceptionally well packaged bike with very little, if any, damage. Okay, so I'm going to start unpackaging this and basically just getting all the foam off, getting all the parts out, and getting the bike exposed. You got the parts box. All right, I have finished removing all of the packing, which was actually quite simple. It didn't take me very long at all. If you're wondering what this blue stuff is, it's actually like a saran wrap or a cling wrap that goes around to protect the paint. And I've got to tell you, I've looked over the bike, and so far I can't see any damage at all. It is packaged absolutely the best I have ever seen from any bike company that I've reviewed before. That is truly impressive. As far as the assembly goes, it looks extremely straightforward. Assemble the handlebars at the front tire, put on a fender and the pedals, and that's really all I can see that you're going to have to do. It looks really easy. I mean, there might be a headlight. I'll have to look in the accessories box and find out exactly what's in there and what we need to do to finish the assembly. So let's take a quick look at the accessories box and see what's in there, and maybe we'll pull the battery out and get it charging while we finish the assembly. Okay, as you've already seen, the keys were zip tied to the handlebar wires. I have those right here. I'm going to set them aside. I'm going to open up the accessories box. You've got some Himiway stickers, class 1, class 2, class 3. So you can put those on your bike if you need them. I haven't been stopped by any kind of law enforcement or anything or question about it. My understanding is this does have a thumb throttle. Let me check that real quick. Yes, this bike does have a thumb throttle. So if you limit it to 20 miles an hour here in the state of Michigan, it would be a class 2 e-bike. If you can remove the thumb throttle, then you could make it a class 1 e-bike. But that's why they add these stickers in, and that's a great addition. That's not something I haven't seen before either. Got some instructions here on how to mount the MIK adapter plate on the Himiway A7 or A7 Pro. It looks like something that's added on to the luggage rack to make it bigger, but I think that's an accessory I don't have. They're just probably sending that along. You've got the Himiway manual for the bike. I'm not sure what these are. Some sort of spacers or adapters. So maybe that has to do with the MIK adapter plate. Yep, these look like adapters for the MIK adapter plate. I'm gonna have to look and see what that is, or if it's something that can be purchased separately. Here you have a headlight, so we'll have to install that. Have a bell. This is just you pull back and release for the bell. You can put that on if you want. I think having a bell on your bike is extremely important. I usually go get something that isn't a thumb and release one. They're good bells. They're loud. They can alert people to your presence, but I like the ones that you just kind of push back and forth and it just ring, 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 ring. I think that tends to get their attention a little better here in Michigan. We got the pedals, left and right. We've got an Allen wrench tool, multi-tool. These are really nice to have with you if you get a pack for your luggage rack. Always keep something like this with you. I've done videos on what I keep in my pack. Check those out. I haven't updated the links in that for a while, but I will try to get that done so you can look through, and if there's anything you want to take with you on the road, it's a good idea to have some tools, maybe a pump with you, so that if you do get in trouble, you have a way to fix your bike. And the last thing in the box, I'm assuming, will be the charger. Comes with an instruction book. This is a 2 amp charger. These are pretty simple to figure out. If you have a 15 amp hour battery, which this one is, and you plug it in at dead flat, then it's going to charge 2 amps per hour. So 15 hours divided by 2, or 15 amp hours divided by 2, that'll tell you how long it'll take to charge. If it's half full, then you have to charge up 7.5 amps, we'll call it 8. It'll take 4 hours basically to charge with this charger. These are pretty simple to use. One thing I do tell people to do is you always plug this end into the bike first and this end into an outlet second, because you'll have less chance of taking a spark and actually hurting the battery management system in the battery. So always plug it into the outlet last. Plug it into the bike first. Let's get that battery out and get it charging. Most e-bikes can be charged either while on the bike or off the bike. As you can see, it's got a charge port here. You just lift the rubber tab. You can plug the charger in, but as we're going to be assembling it, I don't want to do it on the bike. On the opposite side of the bike, there is a lock. You put the key in, turn it, it'll drop out a little bit. Wiggle the key and turn it a little bit further, and the battery comes out. Simply slide it down and out, and now you have the battery. It's got the charge port right here that coincides with the port on the bike. Just plug the charger in and then plug it into an outlet. Let's do that now. Okay, I've taken the twisties off of the charger. I'm just going to plug this into the other side. Again, I'm going to take this, plug it into the battery, make sure it's fully seated. And what's going to happen when I plug this in is this light is going to turn green, and then it's going to turn red to show that it's charging. Green, now red. That means the battery's charging. When it's done charging, that light will turn green again. So for the front tire installation, it comes with a hard axle and a nut. If you don't have these, definitely look for them in the packaging. But this will slide through the wheel. You put the wheel in place, you get the rotor up into the brake assembly, and then you simply put the nut on. I will say I found this red piece just floating around in the packaging, and what I think it is, and I'm fairly certain I'm right here, is this goes in between the pads on the front brakes. And the front brakes are hydraulic. And the reason that this pad is in there so that you don't pump those handles on accident and pull those brakes together, because without a rotor in there to stop it from going too far, the hydraulic pistons can pop out of place and you can never get them back in. You'll have to buy a new caliper. But I'm pretty sure that's what this is. So since it fell out, I'm going to be very careful not to squeeze any handles, brake handles on the bike until I get the rotor in between the brake pads. So putting the front wheel on, you want to be careful. It's not a good idea to touch the rotors with your fingers because the oils in your fingers can make the brakes squeak. So try to avoid that at all costs. If you want, at this point, it could be a good idea to take some isopropyl alcohol and wipe down both sides of the mating surface just to get any oils from the manufacturer off. I'll probably do that. I don't know if I'll show that in this video, but I'll do that for both rotors before I ride it. So I've got the axle started. That was a little difficult, getting the rotor in between the pads and the caliper and then getting this started because it doesn't really sit on the axle at all. So you have to kind of get it lined up and start it in and then push it through. This does have an Allen wrench here that I'll go grab an Allen wrench for, and then I'll put the nut on the other side. So this is an M6 Allen wrench. The only reason I'm going into detail on this is I really haven't seen this particular type before. I'm trying to, now you got the nut, I'm assuming because it's got flats on it. Oh, this one doesn't need a wrench to hold it in place. It slides in with the shoulder away from the bike, and then this part goes inside and threads to the axle. So you're going to want to slide the nut in. It's got two flats where it goes in. Slide it in and then put the axle up to it and start threading it on, and then just tighten it down. That actually, it is kind of a two-person job to get the tire in place, but actually tightening up the bolt and the nut that fits into the pocket on the other side, that was quite easy. I thought I'd need a wrench because I thought I put it in the other way, but I didn't. It was just the single M6 Allen wrench. I used my own, but you could also use the one provided by Himiway. At this point, take a second and make sure the rotor is in between the pads. I also like to lift up the bike and just give it a spin. And it's perfectly centered. Everything's exactly where it's supposed to be. Next, I want to assemble the handlebars to the stem. Okay, I've got the handlebars loose fit onto the stem. What I'm going to do now is I want to kind of get them up to where I think they're going to be for riding. So I'm going to loosen the adjustable stem bolt here on the side. You don't have to take it all the way out or anything. I'm going to kind of sit on the bike. I'm going to pull the stem up and get the handlebars just loosely fitting where I think they should be. Then I'm going to tighten the adjustable stem bolt back down. That's a very comfortable sitting position. So now that I've got the handlebars kind of where I wanted, I'm going to go ahead and tighten down the handlebar bolts up here. Handlebar is assembled. Okay, one thing I didn't realize that the headlight goes on these bottom two bolts for the clamp that holds the handlebar in place. So I'm going to loosen up all four bolts, take the bottom two out, and then I will mount the handlebar or the headlight to those two bolts. Okay, that's nice and tight. The handlebars are tight. I'm going to adjust the light and the screen again. Now when plugging in the headlight to the existing cable on the wire harness, you're going to want to see that there's a tab inside this end and a slot inside that end. You want to line those two up very carefully because there's two little pins in there and you want them to go directly in the holes. If you line it up wrong and jam it together, you're going to bend those pins and then you're going to have to be replacing this connector. So line up that tab and slot and then push it straight together. Just like that. Takes a little bit of effort, but once it's in, you don't need to twist it. Don't twist these. These come straight apart or straight together. The last thing to assemble on the bike is the pedals. They're clearly marked with a sticker, left and right, and they simply screw into the cranks, and they actually give you an arrow to show you which way to turn it, and it's going to be opposite on the left than it is on the right. So I'm going to take the left crank, put it on the other side of the bike. I'm going to get the right one started. Most of the time you can screw it in pretty far before it becomes an issue. Then I've got a 16mm wrench here I'm going to tighten it up with. Make sure these are good and tight. You don't want them to back out and start wearing on the threads because it'll ruin the threads in the crank and then you'll have to replace the crank. Repeat the process on this side. Now that the pedals are in place, what I do is I always check these crank bolts and just give them a good tight to make sure that they're not loose at all. They're nice and tight from the factory. Okay, there are two more pieces to put on the bike. There's the front fender and the bell. The bell's simple. I'm not going to show that. You just basically strap it where you want your thumb to do and then put it on. It's pretty easy. To assemble the fender, you need to remove this Allen bolt on the back of the shocks. Now once you get the fender on in place, and you can adjust it up and down by loosening this top bolt. You can slide it up, get it where you want it, then tighten it back down, and then tighten up the two stays. And that's all it is to assemble this Himiway A7. It's actually very simple. It didn't take me very long at all. I was actually pleasantly surprised how simple it was. The only thing I'm going to do at this point, now that I've got the bell on, I will note that the right brake or the rear brake was pulling all the way in when I first got it. When you get that, that could be just because of the way that the hydraulic system was sitting in the bike. So what you do is you just keep pumping it for a while, and now it's got good grip on both of them. So I don't think I have any issues with the hydraulic brakes. All I got left to do is I'm going to check the tightness of the rear axle. I'm going to get some isopropyl alcohol and clean off the rotors, the brake rotors. I always do that the first time. And the other thing I'm going to do is check the alignment for the derailleur. And I've got lots of videos showing how to adjust this on other Himiway bikes and bikes in general. And it's just this adjuster nut right down here at the bottom, and it moves this part in and out to line up with the gear. So I'll do that too. I'm not going to show that on video. It's pretty simple. And then it's just a matter of waiting for the battery to finish charging, put it in there, and take it for a ride. Gotta tell you, I'm really impressed with the way that it was packaged. They've really gone out of their way to make it simple to assemble, I should say. And there's really almost no adjustment, like I said, other than the possible derailleur, which it looks, based on where the gears are right now, it looks like that's pretty simple to adjust if it's all out at all. I just got to put air in the tires, clean off the brake rotors, check the tightness of the rear axle nuts, and I'm off to the races. There is a little screen here on top of or a little plastic sheet on top of the screen with some instructions. Go ahead and read that. I'm going to have to come up to speed on how to adjust the torque or speed sensor, figure out how all that works. And then in the next video, I'm going to go through and I'm going to go over all the specs. I'm going to see, this looks like it's adjustable too, so I'm going to figure out how to adjust the rear shock. And I'll just go over the whole bike, all the specs, and kind of give you a sense of what it is like to ride this bike. Now, I will point out a couple things. I am under the weight limit for this bike. The weight limit for this bike is 330 pounds. That's a whole load. I'm 280, so I'm a big boy. I'm 6'2½", so I'm a little taller than this bike says, but this seat is not adjusted very high at all. And when I stand over it and sit on that seat, my leg is bent, so I'm gonna have to come up some. So it is a nice bike, even for people my size. I'm just gonna have to bring this seat up, and you just pull the clamp, slide it up to where you think it is. And again, I've showed this on lots of other videos on how to adjust the seat height for you to get a slight bend in your knee when you're riding, and that's what you want. So I'm not gonna go over it again. But I'm really impressed with the bike so far. The paint is just absolutely gorgeous. And that blue saran wrap or whatever they use on that, I mean, kept it perfect. I'm really impressed with the way they packaged this bike and how easy it was to assemble. So I'm gonna call the video there. The next video will absolutely be me riding it, me going over all the specs, talking about all the cool things about this bike. It's got an adaptive torque sensor, so it'll actually adjust your assist levels based on the road you're riding and everything. It's just really impressive. I'm excited to figure it all out. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. So it's a couple days later, and I've had time to reflect on the unboxing and assembly portion of this bike, the Himiway A7. And I've got to say, in the moment, I kind of looked at it like, man, that went really well. But upon reflecting on it, I realized that the packaging on this bike was bar none the best I've ever seen. That bike could not move in that package. The paint was protected with the wrap. It was fantastic. The assembly was simple. It was quick. I think if I wasn't filming, it would have been done in half hour, 45 minutes on the outside. So the assembly and the shipping on this thing, I would almost go as far as saying it's probably state of the art. It was really, really well done. I'm looking forward to getting this bike out and showing you what it can do. I have taken a couple rides with it. The power is really good. I mean, really good. I was surprised how much or how little difference there is between a 500 watt motor in this configuration and a 720 watt motor, which I'm more used to. So I'm gonna let you go after that. I apologize for throwing this in at the end, but I am really impressed with the way this thing was packaged and how easy it was to assemble.